Okay, let's continue with thermal analysis for lecture number 3, part 2. From the last lecture, we talked about the heat transfer both by conduction and convection. And for this one, we're going to talk about how to analyze the thermal resistance network. I'm going to start from the contact resistance, that the topic 8.3.6. Hold on a second. Well, in the case of imperfectly contacts, we need to add some terms in our equation when we're looking for thermal resistance, or the thermal equation delta T equal to QRT. From the figure here, you can see that there are two types of materials, and with imperfectly contacts. So we need to take into account of some gap. But for this one, just for basic knowledge, I'm not going to put this one in problems, because it's a little bit more complicated and need to be explained more. Where you have incoming heat that transfer through two types of materials. It have a different thermal conductivity K1 and K2, and also have the gap between the contact. For the area, the total area, that's going to be equal to A equal to, sorry, I put this one wrong. That's the supposed to be AC plus AG. G stands for gap, or let's put a V. That's the void. You have gap in the term of air. That's the non-contact area. So the total area is going to be equal to the part of contact area and plus non-contact area from equation 8.42. And now you also talking about length. Since the length is not continuous, so the total contact has to be equal to non-uniform length of material 1 plus non-uniform length of material 2. By applying thermal equation delta T equal to QRT, you can put the RT as the delta 1 over K1 AC plus delta 2 over K2 plus K2 AC, and also plus the void. This means this is the non-contact part, and that's the equal to HC A delta T, where KV simply for thermal conductivity. So this one is KV. You add up this term. Before this, you don't have this term, since this there become imperfectly contact. And by applying empirical equation, this is the approximate by equation 8.46. You have HC or the convection coefficient equal to 0.55. M, where M is the contact slope, R is root mean square, K is the become the effective thermal conductivity of two materials, K1 and K2. And delta square equal to delta 1 square plus delta 2 square. As you know that delta is the total contact length, and delta 1 is non-uniform length of material 1, and delta 2 is non-uniform length of material 2. And you also have a contact pressure come to play an important role in the equation. That's why you have P right here, and H is the soft rigidity of two materials. That's about 3 times of Geo, the unit of Newton per meter square. Okay, so just let you know what's going on when you have imperfect contacts. It's a bit more complicated. Actually, this one I took the class as the PhD course, so that's why I'm gonna pass this equation, but just to be familiar with the imperfectly contact. Now get back to our thermal Lisa standard work. Topic 8.5, heat transfer from ship to ship carrier. This is the thermal resistant network for 16-pin ship carrier, as we talked about it earlier or the previous lecture. The point here is that we are looking for thermal resistant of each components of the package. As you know, the package has the source, that's the cylinder heat source. That you have a transistor, you have some kind of components on silicon chip, and that's the dissipate heat. So it becomes the heat source. And then your devices or components is built on silicon chip. So C, this one stands for chip, and that's the silicon chip. E is eutectic bond. F is the copper frame, and P plastic, and you also have pins, 16 pins of the DAP dual inline package. They are all in a parallel to transfer heat throughout the system. So this becomes the inner system, and at the bottom line here, it's going to be the outer system, or you can keep the temperature, ambient temperature, to be your room temperature, or 25 degrees Celsius or 27 degrees Celsius, whatever. What you need to do is looking for RTS, RTC, RTE, RTF, RTP, as well as their RTL. L stands for lead. For the cylinder heat source, you just apply your equation, RTS equal to 1 over this equation, okay, and then up with RTS 2.3x degrees Celsius per watt. You can continue figure out what is RTC, RTE, RTP, and RTF. Sorry, this one's supposed to be, this is RTF and this is RTP. Now you can apply equation, that's the, let me see here, I'm wondering I'm missing equation for the heat source or not. For RTS or the thermal resistance, of the heat source. That's the become this equation, and this is A 0.5 millimeter and B is equal to or 2 millimeter. You just plug in number and work out on the number, do some calculation. For heat source that is there, you were used the thermal conductivity of silicon as well as the thermal resistance of the chip. That's the silicon chip. So you also put the K as the 154. For eutectic bond, you have Ke from the table, and also for plastic, you have thermal conductivity is 1, and the frame is the copper, K equal to 381 watt per meter degree Celsius. Now you can compare all numbers here, or thermal resistance of each element. You can see that for the plastics one, the thermal resistance is very high above the thermal resistance of the copper frame. Eutectic actually, you can see that your thermal conductivity is very high, but since this is very thin, it's only 0.05 millimeter thick, so your RT of our eutectic bond is not so high. It's only 0.01 degrees Celsius per watt. And then for the pins or the lead, you have the length of the lead is 6 millimeter and the cross-section area is 0.25 millimeter square, and you also use the KR as the thermal conductivity of copper, which is the 381 watt per meter degree Celsius. And now since you have 16 pins in parallel, so your total thermal resistance of your 16 pins drop out to be 63 divided by 16. That's give you a 3.94 degrees Celsius per watt. Okay, I put this one E as the effective or RT total of the lead 16 pin chip carrier. And later on you can find your junction temperature at each contact. Now let's move to the second level of packaging, which is the PCB or printed circuit board. We're going to talk about the heat transfer through the PCB in a parallel direction of PCB plane, and also in the direction of perpendicular of PCB plane. Let's take a look at the connection in the plane of the circuit board. You have the heat transferring from the left to the right along the PCB plane, and it's easy to find the thermal resistance of the PCB. Simply apply equation RT equal to R over Ka, where K is the K of epoxy, or the PCB. You can see that this is one very high, of course, because your K of your PCB or epoxy, that's the I don't have it here. That's the 0.26, very low. Compare the thermal conductivity of the copper, that's the 381 watt per meter degree Celsius. And also the length when you compare to the cross-section area, you know, it's much different. This is your cross-section area, but you have thickness 2 millimeter and the width is 10 millimeter, so your cross-section area is simply 2 by 10 millimeter square, and that's very high. Now let's move to our multi-layer PCB. In the case of you have many layers of PCB sandwich to the copper plane. In this case, you have 5 PCB layers sandwich to 4 copper layers. This is their multi-layer PCB. So for a thermoresistant network, it's they're all planes transform themselves to be like thermoresistor, and they are connected in parallel. For the copper layers, I put this one at the thickness as 2 ounce or 2.7 mils. Mils, 1 mils, that's equal to 1/1000 inch. And you work this out. As you know that the thermal conductivity of our copper is much higher than the PCB, the K of PCB, which is the 0.26. For the K of copper, that's the 381. So sometimes you can ignore the PCB resistivity. You end up with 4 copper planes in parallel. Let's move to the next page. Oops, and I'm missing something here. Okay, so I guess that's all I have for the lecture number 3, series 2. And I will continue with lecture number 4, later on. Okay, so that's it for now.